All right. Well, good morning, everybody. We'll see how long this actually lasts. By the way, we have Puppy with us again this morning. He wasn't very happy as soon as I decided to start streaming. It was like, hold on, you're about to start streaming, aren't you? You need to pay attention to me. So yeah. Anywho, well, hope you guys are doing well this morning, evening, whatever time of day it is for you. So today we're going to continue taking a look at some stuff going on in Prism. I was talking to Brian yesterday, and it's been actually quite a while since we've had so much community involvement, besides Brian and I doing some PRs. So this is actually really great to see so many PRs, and I merged Brian's PR yesterday for the new Bootstrapper that he did on his stream. We've got this region PR that I put up in a draft form yesterday. There's still some work to do on it. And there's probably another PR that we'll be doing kind of before. Let me turn that down actually a little bit. But there is another PR that we'll be doing to add some additional support for our IOC abstractions. That'll make it a little bit easier to deal with some stuff for Xamarin Forms. That good old navigation services continually a pain for Xamarin Forms, because it does have to be based on the page that you're navigating from, and there's a lot of chicken or egg problems that kind of come into play there. So yeah, that is always not fun. So yeah, we'll kind of be dealing with some stuff there. Now, I did talk to Brian about this, and one of the things that we will kind of be looking at doing is adding support for scoped lifetimes in Prism, and for Xamarin Forms in particular, we will actually be using that to kind of create there's the puppy, hello. But we'll use that to create the navigation service in a scoped lifetime, so that way we can kind of scope it to the creation of each page, and that'll kind of allow us to share a singleton instance of the navigation service throughout the page, which will really help. Good grief, dog, what are you doing? What? Yes, hi, how are you doing? Stop trying to chew on me and my power cords. Dog loves to chew on everything. Power cords, shoes. The shoes is probably not that surprising. Power cords a little bit more. What? Yes, hi. You're jealous I'm not, talking to you and playing with you right now, huh? Yeah. He's a very vocal dog. Yes. Yes. Okay, I'm not your chew toy. You have 20 of them. Go chew a chew toy. Ow, fucker. Puppies have really sharp teeth. It hurts. Like little razor blades. Yes, hi. Okay. He is always a pain in the morning. He's like, hey, you need to pay attention to me. I get him laying down before I start streaming, and then I start streaming, and he's like, oh, hold on. Time to be jealous. Ay. Ow, be nice. Ay. Hello, Waldemar. Good to see you, my friend. We will be taking a look at your PR here as soon as I can get this puppy to leave me alone long enough. Ay. Lay down. Come on. Go lay down. Go play with one of your toys. Go play with a toy. There he is. Hold on. Let's see if I can get him to... Come on. No? Sit in your chair. Okay. Good grief. That is a very, very demanding puppy. All right, so let's take a look at what we have here. So we'll take a look at this PR here. And so what do we have? All right, so this is going to be on the navigation parameters, provides a way for the navigation service to pass parameters during navigation. Yeah, so one of the things is we don't really directly expose the key value pair. Like, it's there behind the scenes, but we don't intentionally want you using it. I mean, technically you could do a for each over the key value pairs, because it is part of the interface, but we don't really, we don't explicitly want you doing that. So what I would kind of say here, so first of all is, this should be iNavigation service should be cref iNavigation service. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what a good description for this would be. Yeah, it just adds don't reference the key value pair, just specify that we're adding a key and value to the parameters. So the same would be for right here as well. We don't want to specify the key value pair. There really is no reason to be talking about it. And actually, now that I think about it, I removed all of this anyway in the regions PR, because I brought this down a level. So really all of the comments on the navigation parameters. Good morning, Dylan. Heard you made some really good progress there with Brian last night. But yeah, for these navigation parameters, I've actually brought this down to a common iParameters, rather than kind of duplicating some of this across both the navigation parameters and the dialog parameters. So this is just going to conflict and all go away anyway. So realistically, I would undo everything. I mean, on the interface itself is fine. So we're going to delete that. Here, we're going to say there is no need for docs on anything in the body, as we're removing the contents to a common iParameters. No, I meant iParameters. Frickin' auto incorrect, man. So we'll go ahead and delete that. Oh, sorry. Oh, I just realized that was Death Knight. Sorry, Death Knight. Let's see. Yeah. Bootstrapper. So based on this comment, one thing I would tell you here, Woldemar, is be sure to rebase, because like some of this has changed, and I just want to make sure that we don't have issues there. So make sure that you rebase. I can tell because this obsolete message, this has changed like yesterday. So make sure you rebase your branch there against master. Hopefully you know how to rebase. You know, I've found a lot of people don't know how to rebase a branch, like, and it's not even like an insult to people. I had to teach Brian how to rebase. He didn't know how to rebase, so I had to teach him last week. He was like, what's rebasing? Like, Brian, it's very comforting to know that you run a major open source project and you don't know how to rebase, buddy. Like, I'm just saying. It's not that scary. It's really not that scary. So basically what rebasing does is it helps to align the nodes. So if you ever look, like, here's the let me close a couple projects real quick. Okay, so everything left is open source. Okay, so basically, if you look in, like, you know, any kind of GUI or whatever, right? All Git is every time you have a commit, you're creating a node for that commit, right? And so there's a hierarchy. And you know, certain programs like this make it really nice where you're able to visualize those nodes, okay? And kind of how they, you know, branch. Like, you know, you say branch, right? Okay, well, what is a branch? So a branch is, I'm starting right here, and now I'm creating a whole bunch of commits. Well, the problem is, if you have a competing branch over here that you're trying to merge into, Git does not always correctly merge things in, and you can get a lot of regressions by doing that. It's kind of where it's like a merge commit is what they call it. When you rebase, what happens is you notice how all of these commits are in a straight line. There's nothing kind of branching off of it, right? So it's just like line, 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 line. So this would be a rebase here. You know, you can see like, okay, all of this. In fact, so we're what? Death Knight. So, but that's basically kind of what happens is you reorder everything. So we have a bunch of branches going on right now, which is where it's getting a little crazy to follow. Rewriting the history. Well, yes and no. You are. There definitely is a sense that you are rewriting history, Dylan. So, you know, for instance, like these, like you see the regions branch, okay? So this node right here that I just kind of hovered over, this is the master branch, my local master branch. It's also the master branch on Prism. You see the little Prism icon here and a whole bunch of forks. But then you see I have like this container extensions, which is my current branch, which is where it's also at because I haven't committed to it yet. So, but the regions branch, if you notice, right, like it starts at the master and then it's, what is that, 6 commits ahead of master, right? Well, when I started it, there were a whole bunch of commits here that did not exist. And so what happened was I did a rebase, and basically it put all of that work that had been merged into master, it put that all behind my region work. And so in that sense, yes, you are definitely rewriting things. And it allows you to control those changes and those merge conflicts to really get a better sense of what you did change accidentally. Especially like as we try to do that PR, maybe there's something that you didn't notice that you had accidentally changed in your in your rebasing, but when we go to merge that in that PR, we can see it a lot clearer. And that's kind of why you always hear open source project maintainers say rebase your PR, and that's why there's a checkbox if you look. If you look on GitHub. Now, one thing I really do wish GitHub would do, like they've been so good about so many things. Let's go back here. So you see, like you have this checkbox, and you did actually check it, and people do this all the time. Yes, I rebased my PR on master at the time. Well, actually, he might have, to be fair, but we did change some things. But there's no way that we can actually check very easily that actually happened. So it's kind of a pain. Anyhow, yeah. So it realigns your branch with master. Yes, correct. It realigns it with whatever you're merging into, and that's why I've had some PRs that have gone into like Xamarin Forms, for example, and at first I had rebased against master, and it was really something that they needed a hotfix for, and so they said, hey, can you rebase this against whatever the current branch was for the version? Yeah, okay, sure, why not? I'm not gonna lie, that can be painful, especially on a project like Xamarin Forms. But yeah. So, one of the other things, I highly discourage people ever using Visual Studio. It sucks. I don't care if you're talking about Visual Studio on Windows, Visual Studio on Mac. They both suck. Don't use them. I mean, I guess they're okay for really basic things like, okay, I want to commit these changes, but they don't really understand anything. Like, let's go take a look at something here in Visual Studio. Here, let me drag this over here. So let's go to Team Explorer and changes, right? Okay, so I can see the files that changed, right? Yeah, Git CLI can help you understand Git. That's definitely true. And well, Dylan, it has more functionality because like that's what everything builds on top of, man. Like, I'm just saying. Yeah, anyway. So test cloud exe change, that's weird. But anyway, so like you can see, like here are the changes, right? But what are the changes in the file? You have no idea what changed in this file. And this is one of the things that like really, as an open source maintainer, I'll be honest, it pisses me off when I get commits from people and they just have no clue what the hell they checked in. And this is actually, it's not even as an open source maintainer, it's just as a senior developer and somebody who reviews code. Like I see this from developers that I work with all the time, because so few developers have any idea about this stuff, right? And they don't take the time to learn. Like, it's really powerful for you to understand what this is doing. And so like when you use a tool like Visual Studio, which sucks, and I keep saying it because it does, but like look at what you have to do. Like, okay, compare with unmodified. So I have to go out of my way to see what changed. Okay, so now I can see that this changed. Okay, but what if I didn't want something in here? Like, how do I say I just want lines 103 to 112? Like, just check that in. There's no way for me to do it in here, right? It's an all or nothing thing. Like, I'm gonna check in things that that shouldn't be checked in, like line ending changes, or maybe there should. Like in this, actually, I am going to do some line ending changes because this is a cool feature, by the way. I don't know if you've seen this in Visual Studio lately. So if you get like a mixed mode, it'll actually say mixed, but you have like a thing for spaces versus tabs, and then you have another one for line endings. And so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say LF, because I am very anti \r, just saying. So yeah, but we've at least normalized the file. I hate when things are not normalized. Calling VS Mac source control horrendous would be a compliment. Dylan, you are so right, my friend. You are so right. And I've had that conversation with the team. I really have. I love the guys. They're, you know, the team is fantastic. I have a decent relationship with them. But man, oh man, it's so very horrendous. Like everything about what that does. Yeah. VS Mac source control made me stay on CLI for a long time. Yeah, so source tree is definitely very good. I have used source tree for a number of years. More recently, like over the last year, I've moved over to Git Kraken. And I actually pretty well like Git Kraken. There are still some things that I think source tree does a little bit better. And every once in a while, like especially where I need to like cherry pick changes out of a file, sometimes I'm like, okay, Git Kraken, you're failing me. Let me go open up source tree. But I have this problem where source tree, just for whatever reason, it's in a funky state for me. If you notice, by the way, and I'll jump back over, I know we're going all over the place here this morning. But let's come in here. So like, if you notice, anytime you see a commit, like these are merges. Oh, hello, you're back. So if you notice, like anything like here, because I merged this, like that commit from me is actually on like from GitHub per se. So of course they verified it. But if we come down, let's go find something. So like these changes here, these were actually from me. Hey Death Knight, good to see you, buddy. And you'll notice that every single commit that I do is always verified. Okay, and that's because all of my commits are actually signed, and Git actually knows my signing key on each of my computers, and that way, like, you always know if a commit is actually from me or not, or if it's just someone spoofing me. Whereas Brian, on the other hand, you notice he merged this pull request, so that one says merge, but the rest of his did not. So, because we can't really trust it. Like, this was really the real Brian Lagunas that did this, not Brian Lagunas in Idaho. Just saying. So, like, those are some things I do. But source tree's all messed up for me right now, so I can't use that, unfortunately. Anywho, let's go back to kind of going over this PR. It's not that difficult. We should have been able to do this by now. Good grief. Internal what on earth? Go away. Stupid Microsoft update. Yeah, so the bootstrapper, like I said, just rebase, that way we don't accidentally do something on that one. Here, I'll make a comment. Okay. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, by the way, but like ever since Corona and the whole lockdown, I find I'm touching my face way more often. I'm like, oh, my face, it's still there, you know? I'm crazy. Anyway. It's a good catch. Definitely a good catch here. Depends on, It's good, yeah. Definitely a good catch there. So these are all good changes here. I really like that we were catching this. You know, there was a lot I found in, like, because a lot of this, you know, comes from well, this obviously is in WPF, but like there was a lot in WPF where it's like things were tied to concrete implementations, and it's just like, why were you doing that? You had an interface, for crying out loud. You know, sometimes it's one of those things where it's like, crap, this is still going to conflict me, but whatever. It's a good change. Yeah, there were just like so many times it's like, you had an interface. Why are you doing the XML docs on the concrete implementation? Come on. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to submit those change requests there. Death Knight has another... He's on a roll here, man. On a roll. I could do a whole PR. I do a whole 2 lines removed everywhere, but you wouldn't like it. Hey, I'm brutal. I'm brutal with people, man. No idea. It's all good though. Let's see. Provide value. So let's not reference the key value pair. Well, I realized it already was, but let's key value pair. Okay. So in this case, this was actually correct the first time. Please revert. Okay. So kind of a little note here. So like there's a lot of like little subtle things, right? So type paramref. This is a special attribute that is used here, for instance, to say like this is an actual parameter that you pass into a method. Whereas cref, right? This is saying like, hey, there is a type that you need to look at, right? And so when we're dealing with this generic type, we're saying it shouldn't give you a new warning, because that should be wrong. Like this should be the correct way. We can go take a look at it. So parameter space is where we were, right? See if I get the same compiler warning. Maybe I'm wrong. It happens every once in a while. So where was that? On. So yeah, this is a very legitimate and LT, I think it is, right? Okay. Really? What is the show potential fixes? What on earth? Okay, just need that. That should be correct. Huh. You're actually right on that. It is giving you a warning. I don't know why it's giving you a warning, but it is giving you a warning. Let's go take a look here. Oh. I always mix up, by the way, because I'm in Visual Studio Code so often. And it's like when I want a new tab in Visual Studio Code, it's like Control N or whatever. And then in Safari, I have to do Control T. It's like, really? Why can't these key mappings be the same? Anyway. So we want to say C# XML doc generic type. Yeah, so like it's kind of saying like but that would actually be wrong. Get the right browser back here. No, not that. All right. Let's see something here. Yeah, because we don't want the name. I don't think. Let's see. See draw. We really do need to be better, by the way, about adding stuff like examples and exceptions. I think, hold on, type param. I think that might be it. So I think that's actually it. So it's not, oh no. No, that was, no, that's actually what you had. Never mind. Or ref, that's, is that it? Maybe you're right. I don't know. I think it might be ref. I'm not actually sure on that. Yeah, I'm not sure if it is either, Death Knight. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I was actually, I didn't realize that that was going to give you a an error. I would have thought that the CC ref would have been the correct version, but obviously this gives you a warning, so it's not as correct as I thought. Just goes to show I don't know everything, right? And naturally they don't have examples for those. Hey! Hold on 1 second here, let me check on this puppy here. Alright, we'll lock the puppy back up with me here. He was obviously getting into a lot of trouble. Alright, summary, type pro, yeah. Yeah, see it's type param ref. So that's actually what it needs to be. Oh, which is what you had. So I'm an idiot. Yes, hi. So you're good. You're good, Death Knight. See, you got it right, man. So, yeah. But I do want to refactor this. Whatever. So I do want to refactor this so that way we don't say key value pair. These were actually very legitimate changes here, putting the and LT. All right. So, but this obviously Let's use the type paramref instead of langword. All right. Let's see here if we can. Of course, now he wants to like eat the microphone. Or whatever he can find on the desk. That's actually really good there, Death Knight. Yes, we are including an exception. Puppy's name is Bruno. So, alright. So that should be... Where was the... Yes, but... Ugh. Calm yourself. Calm yourself. Okay. Paramref, yeah. Oh my gosh. So instead of... Yes. Lay down. There you go. Come on. So, this should be... Ow. See if I can type with him on my lap here. So, use cref I enumerable. Oh! What are you doing? How old is he now? I think he's about 13 weeks. About 3 months, something like that. Come on, dude. And now, if we can see here, he thinks I'm for chewing. Ow! Alright. As the camera goes completely blurry here. Dude, it's playtime all the time with him. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy. And I really need to get his, yeah, he is a little cutie. I'm firmly convinced that, you know, puppies... tumble in there. Puppies and children, man, like, if they weren't so cute, they'd, like, you would kill them. Alright. I enumerable T. That should actually work there, because you're referencing a type. Here, I think I might need to do like the whole format thing there. There was something else I saw, and then I can't find it now. Exception cref, paramref type. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it seems like I'm kind of harsh on some of these doc ones, I mean, just keep in mind, it's because we want to make sure, like, when we ship this, and you're now in the IDE, and you're getting your IntelliSense, right, like, this is what people are going to see, and, you know, I want to make sure that, you know, I want to make sure that this is something that's actually going to be proper for people, and actually help them. Bruno, dude, come on. Such a pain. He's like, I want to go play. Aye, aye, aye. Give me a second, guys. I will be right back here. Okay. All right, so I see Chase here brings up a very valid point. So really, there's been one reason so far I haven't come down on anything about the other side there for the consistency, the and greater than, and that is basically everywhere that we've seen a change with the and less than, the whole, like, that whole segment needs to be redone. So that's why I haven't made a comment on that. But Chase is absolutely right. If you are going to use the and less than, then you should always use the and greater than for the other side. But yeah, like one of the other things I would say, and I think this would actually be really great to have. This is not required for this PR, like these come in other PRs, but definitely, if you come over here, you guys can do the same kind of lookup that that I showed before. Where is it? Here, let's go back up to the top. Example. So if you have like an example, and then you can say like code, right? So you see this example, and you see for example, blah, blah. So there's some sort of description, and then you have like a code block, right? This is really, really powerful to be using. So definitely don't hesitate to like throw these in, or find areas that, you think would be helpful for you or your teams, or, other people that you work with, whatever. I would love to see this in our docs. So one thing actually I am noticing that I haven't seen before, every time I've ever seen example, it's always been outside the summary block, but I'm actually noticing that on Microsoft Docs here, they're actually showing the example block in the summary itself, and not outside of the summary. So that is probably something we will want to make sure that we normalize. Just saying. Anyway, but yeah, having that is going to be really, really important. In fact, there is another PR. So many PRs lately. I love it. Love it, love it. All right, so let's go take a look at the other PR there real quick, because they actually did use the example. So it's this one, right? Or no? The container provider, that one. So and this is kind of what I was talking about, right? Like, this is how I've normally seen it with the example block outside of the summary. Microsoft Docs actually does show this as being inside the summary. So I'm going to just make a comment here. Now he's barking because he's getting fed. He's like, feed me faster. All right. So we're going to just make a comment here. If you see Microsoft Docs, they show proper use of the example block inside of the summary tags, or block, whatever. I'll keep the language the same. Anyway. Okay. All right. So, but in general, yeah, this is all kind of fine here. Again, like I know I keep saying this, but let's not reference the key value pairs. Like, yes, there are key value pairs, but it's more of a hidden thing. Like the whole parameters extension is like, this is it's not something you really know about existing anyway. Delegate to be called when raised. Okay, so one of the other things here is put a space between the XML docs and the previous line of code. Which we did here, by the way. The errors collection or errors container, very different. Well, this is not. So this is, again, like, this is not really a key values pair. I mean, yes, dictionary uses key value pairs, but so this shouldn't reference the key value pairs. It should reference the you know, C, we'll just say cref equals dictionary. I think it's going to be string list T, something like that. I think that's right. It may not be 100%, but that should at least give you the idea of where we want to take that. Classic destroy. I don't like this. I don't like the description here. Interface for destructible objects. So let's see here. Dog is going crazy right now. So I think what we're gonna want to do here is we're gonna want to talk about because this provides a spot to clean up your view or view model for any resources it has. I mean, we could, yeah. Basically, so I think that, you know, I would have to kind of think of like what the best line is to put here. But if you want to think of it this way, so I think it helps to understand what iDestructible is all about and how it's used, where it's used in the life cycle of navigation. Like you notice, like this is in the navigation, you know, namespace here. This is actually used now on WPF. It actually started in Xamarin Forms, but moved into Core because Brian was like, actually, this is really useful and would help us over in WPF. So it's one of those things we're able to use. So kind of interesting thing here, you know, very often what you see is like just implement iDisposable, no big deal. Well, I want to say it was Norman McKay. So if you guys don't know who he is, he's a really great developer out of the UK. I think he might prefer to say from Scotland. He's a good guy. And he's also a moderator, been a moderator for years on the forums as well. So you've probably seen him around. But he had approached Brian and I years ago with an issue that he was seeing that, like, hey, with iDisposable, sometimes things aren't getting cleaned up. Sometimes it's getting called twice. And so that was causing problems. In order to control this, rather than directly exposing iDisposable on your interface, or I'm sorry, on your view model, instead we introduced the iDestructible. That allows us to pick the proper moment, basically when we are done with your view and your view model. So the view has been popped from the navigation stack. It's no longer going to get reused. It's over and done with. Like the life cycle, it's dead, right? Like it's on its way out. And so this is where we call iDestructible destroy, so that way you can actually dispose of the resources that you need to in your view model for memory management, and kind of make sure that you don't have memory leaks and that sort of thing. So that's kind of what that is about. But the classic destruct, because this is not a destructor. Like, don't confuse this with a destructor. A destructor actually is a thing, and that is not what this is. Okay, so persist in history. Yeah. Probably might need that line myself. Anyway, all right, but that's good. So that's good there. Need some changes in this. We learned about a new thing here. Well done, Death Knight. Very proud of you. I would have gotten that wrong. I did get it wrong, so there you go. Returns the class. Value. Well, it doesn't provide the class. It the instance. Okay. That is actually true. Okay. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to hit request changes. But you guys are definitely learning, like, the smaller PRs like that, like sometimes like there are a lot of little nitpicky things that we got to go through. So kind of having that ability, yeah, like having that ability is very, very good. The other issue here is, so as Waldemar just pointed out, they both changed iRegion navigation journal. So something, and I'll mark an issue on here, or mark it in the issue if I can find it. Here it is. Okay. So we're going to say public service announcement. Before submitting a PR or working on one, be sure to leave a comment here for which classes or types you will be making changes for. This will help others from working on XML docs for the same types and methods. Okay. All right. Cool. Yep. All right. So yeah. So we have that. Let's see. I know Jerome did some changes here yesterday, and he shared something in chat, by the way. Let's see. Oops, you didn't see anything there. So now I'll show it. Okay, so he shared this. This is in the general chat of Prism Slack, by the way. So if you go to like any of our builds, right? Like our builds are all public because the pipeline that builds everything is a public project in Azure DevOps. And so you can see all of the build results and all of the artifacts and everything there. And so I thought this was actually really cool, is Jerome has actually got this set up now where when there is a test run, not only do we see like, hey, the test passed and here's how long it took and blah, 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 but we also get these attachments here for the screenshots, which I think is freaking awesome. Absolutely freaking awesome. So let's go take a look here. So let's take a look at that. View more here. And so like when I say like, hey, you guys can go see this, you notice like I'm not actually logged in this browser. So you can very much go see this. I have no idea here how on earth. I want to see the test runs. Okay. Wait a second. I'm so confused. (1642). So he posted screenshots from like 1642 with it working. But on this one it doesn't work. What the heck, man? I'm so disappointed. Let's go back. Let's see if we can actually see it here. I wonder if it's because I'm, well, he wouldn't have been signed in either, so. Well, that's disappointing. Huh. I'm also noticing another problem here. None of our core tests are getting published. None of the forms tests are getting published. Let's open up a new issue, by the way, shall we? If somebody would like to help on this one, I will take the help because I don't have time to deal with it right now. Fix the DevOps pipeline to publish the test results for core and forms. The test results are not getting published for Prism.core or Prism forms, and they are duplicated for Prism WPF. They are published once and published by all, like the Three Musketeers, basically. So I'm gonna say, well, this is more, so core, because this does affect core, it affects Xamarin Forms, and this is more housekeeping than anything else. And sure, it's a good first issue, why not? And I do want help. So we'll put all of those labels on there. Haha. Alright. Who wants it? Anybody? Bueller? Okay. I don't see any volunteers here in chat. Come on, guys. Somebody must want this. Dylan, Chase, John, I saw you guys in chat. I'm sure one of you must want to do this. Alright, so yeah, so we'll do that. Alright. So what else do we have here? Feel kind of bad I didn't actually review this one. Yes, I know I didn't. Okay, so I kind of am not merging that right now because of some potential issues that'll conflict me and I don't want to deal with it. Maybe it's not fair, but it's the truth. You committed to a few things already? Oh, come on, Dylan. You know, one of them is literally change a package. I could do that in like 10 seconds. I'll probably do it this morning just because I'm tired of waiting. You know, it's funny. I was talking to Brian about it yesterday. We had a call, and it was funny because I'm talking to him about it, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, he had no idea what I was talking about. I said, you know how you have to initialize Xamarin Forms so you can run the tests, and you wrote some, like, a Xamarin Forms mocks, and then you even blogged about it. It's on your blog, Brian. It's like one of the few things you've blogged about on Xamarin Forms. And he was like, oh, yeah, I remember I did that. I said, yeah, there's a NuGet package for that. Do you want to keep maintaining your mocks for this, or do you want to just install a NuGet? He's like, oh, no, I don't want to maintain that. Like, let's use a NuGet. But it took me like 15 minutes of explaining it to him and showing him code before he's like, oh, yeah, no, I don't want to keep maintaining that. Yeah, well, I do appreciate the docs or the tests and stuff. A lot of people just do not do that at all. So I don't remember. I might have shown this a little bit yesterday. So I was kind of talking to Alan about doing a little template with him where you basically... you say, hey, I want a new project, and then it just gives you something that you can really use kind of to get out of the gate. And there are a couple of issues I need to kind of work through here. But this does quite a bit of stuff, if this will ever load. Good grief. So, let's see here. So you'll notice that this brand new project gives you, like, you don't just get, okay, here are your three, like, here's a core app of Android and iOS. Like, who cares about that? Yes, I am definitely thinking .NET New, Dylan. There we go. Finally loaded. Okay, so we actually have 11 tests pre-written as part of the template. And I know you think that might sound a little crazy. I don't. I think it's actually way under what it should be. Look at how much code is already there, boilerplate for you. But the whole point of this is, hey, let's give you a project that's going to get you out of the gate, that's going to wire up a lot of things that you need to right out of the gate. It's using mobile build tools to help you with some stuff. It's using, MS build props to help you with stuff. You have some tests to actually validate some things, like, hey, there's like a whole localization service. There are some view model tests here. So we have a view model base. There's the start view model, and part of this, right, is normally, like, I remember when I first heard about Prism, I first heard Brian talking about Prism, and like my eyes just were like giant saucers, like, oh, I can write testable code with Xamarin Forms? Are you freaking kidding? Like, but then, you know, there was this other question that nobody ever answered, which was, how do you test your code? Yeah, nobody talks about that. So I thought, you know, why don't we actually show you how to test some code and, you know, kind of use some things here. So like you'll see here that first of all, well, I kind of have some things hidden because I hate having to duplicate things over and over. And you notice my base class here, like there's a bunch of stuff going on. Oh no, actually I think it's in here, test base. So you see like, hey, I have these mocks, so I'm actually using the mock library from Daniel Casalino. This is actually really, really great library, by the way, for mocking things. In fact, I'll be using it in Prism more to get rid of some of our concrete mocks and just use the mocking library instead, because it just provides a much better framework for us. But this kind of like wires it up or lets us kind of pass different things in, which is really great. So this shows you though, like kind of how to do all of this, you know. So you have the different auth services, or these different services that got created. And then we can kind of see like, okay, so like this nav service is actually the mock of the nav service, not the actual, you know, service itself. But then we go ahead and like we create our view model, and you know, then what I do here is there's this page utilities that Prism uses to actually invoke things like onNavigated2. And so you can pass in the view. It takes an object, but what it's doing is it's saying, hey, is this thing that you just gave me, is this iNavigation aware? Yes, it is. Great. Let me go ahead and invoke it. Is it a bindable base? Yes, it is. Great. I'll get the binding context and check that to see if it's a, you know, what do you call it? iNavigation aware. Yeah. But yeah, so it kind of like does that whole check. So I can just use this, pass in my view model, pass in some navigation parameters, and then I can check like, hey, did the navigation service end up invoking this, right? Because basically what I'm doing in that view model is I'm checking some stuff, and then I'm going to do a navigation, and based on whether or not the person is logged in is going to depend on where I navigate to. So I'm able to kind of check that here. So yeah, so that's like just a little something that I've kind of put together. It is using Shiny, it's using reactive UI, it uses Fody weavers because I like nice simple code. There's a lot here, so you know, simple is kind of a relative term. It kind of gives you a wired up alert dialog here in the app, and somewhere I think, I don't remember where, iDialog service extensions. So here I actually have some extensions to kind of give you, you know, some out of the gate, like here's how you can have like this nice customized dialog, make it really simple to use. You don't have to put alert dialog everywhere, right? Like this is just in one place, very easy to maintain. You can localize everything. Pretty fantastic. Anyway, little off track, but maybe if you guys really like this, by the way, let me know and I'll do like a whole stream on like how to set your project up like that and kind of like run through that. But let me know. If you guys are quiet and don't say anything, then I don't really know that you like it, and I'll assume like, okay, maybe I'll just use it for me and screw all you guys. So we have one vote for I should do a stream. Alright, let's see here. So I'm still waiting. So I'm going to be honest, like I actually, like, in the process of doing this Uno PR and like reviewing the Uno PR, like I've actually learned some stuff on WPF that I didn't even realize Brian did. Like every once in a while, Brian and I will either discover that we did something that the other one didn't realize we did, or realize that we did something that we didn't remember that we did. So like talking to Brian, you know, so there's a couple votes there. Awesome, guys. Talking to Brian yesterday, I think it was, about some of the region stuff, I was like, you know, hey, this is really stupid that you're passing in this instance here. It'd be better to have a nice generic, you know, API on this kind of mapping, like this, I think it was like the region adapter mapping is what it was. And because like the way that it worked was like you would give it, I think it was like you give it a name and then you give it an instance of that or something. Like it was crazy. I was like, why don't you have a generic overload on this, you know? And then there was like another one, which was like for the region behaviors. Oh, that's what it was, the region behaviors. And so you had to give it like a type of control, and then you had to give it a type for the behavior, or no, for the adapter. Yeah, that's what it was. No, so it was, yeah, it was for the adapters. But yeah, so you had to like give it like these two types, and it was just like, okay, here's a type and a type. I'm like, why the hell are you doing that? Why don't you give it a generic? And so we did. He was like, yeah, that's a great idea. So we went to do it on live stream and then realized he did it like already in product. So that's funny. Anyway, but yeah, one of those things was like this dialog window. So Jerome, when he first did this, he instead of calling this iDialog window, he called it iContent dialog, not realizing that the actual dialog window came from Prism. So that way you didn't have to implement this every time. Anyway, that's just my little, like, I find it funny. You guys probably think I'm nuts. It's all good though. Alright, apparently this changed again. It's not very constant if it keeps changing, I'm just saying. Uh-oh. Don't mess it up, man. Love me some UI tests here. Love this. God, I just love that we have UI tests going on now. This is fantastic. So we're going to go ahead. This looks good. I don't see any major issues here. So I had I'd given Jerome a hard time because like these test classes, like it was very evident that there was a mixture of tabs and spaces. Oh god, friggin' dog. All right. Death Knight, any good reference material to look at if I want to try to tackle some of the template repo issues? Well, I might ask, which issue do we want to take a look at? I mean, Prism Lib, a little too far here. So what issue is it that you would like to take here? So like this number 9, this is really, I already have the file. I'm just trying to decide if I want to do it or not. I realize a lot of people don't understand MS Build, which is definitely Microsoft's fault because they don't talk about it. I probably talk about MS Build more than Microsoft does collectively, which is really pathetic. Because it's really powerful. In any case, I really want to just put a directory build props into the project, and that way when you create a project, it no longer matters how you create another project or what other projects you create, whether it's a module, whether it's a common library, a tools, data layer, whatever, doesn't matter. If it's a net standard 2.0, it's going to get those proper debug symbols set and the proper debug type set. So that's why I'd rather do it from a directory build props. That way it's there for you no matter what. But I'm kind of torn on that, because people are going to go, what the hell is this? And then they're going to delete it. So I don't know. What I would say, guys, is if you could go to this issue number 9 and kind of share your thoughts if you support a directory build props, or if you think that this needs to be in the specific project. So like, should this be in the core project for the Xamarin Forms template, and then should it be in the Xamarin Forms module project, or should it just be in a directory build props that gets shared across the entire solution? Let me know what you think there. I've kind of been going back and forth on that. This migrate WPF project to SDK style, that really shouldn't be too hard, honestly. There are lots of samples out there on that. The splash activity for Android, realistically, I mean, it's such a good issue. Definitely, like if you're wanting to maybe start with something like that, that could be a good one for you, because frankly, all you got to do is go take a look at any of the samples in the samples repo. Storyboard, that one might be a little harder, just because frankly I don't think we ever fixed this in the templates or the samples repo. It does use a storyboard in the samples repo, but I think it's all jacked up, so it doesn't center correctly on iOS, depending on what device you have. That really does need to be fixed. If anybody would like to fix that, I'd love that PR, by the way. Update the UWP project. That's a pretty easy one. Shouldn't really take much. So yeah, so if we read this issue here, so this is just talking about, hey, we need to update to 17.763, because if you notice, like when you update to Xamarin Forms 4.5, you're going to start getting warnings in. Oh, okay then. I just realized I'm getting light through the window there. That's casting a weird shadow. Anyway. But you'll get a warning that like you basically you need to have your minimum set to 17.763. So it's just a matter of updating the values. Probably the easiest way is just create a new UWP project and then go take a look at the CS proj for the correct values. Actually, no, I don't want the module, I want the blank app. One of the other things I will say, and I think I closed the PR on somebody already on this, but don't try to open this solution, by the way. It's not going to, it probably will not work. It will probably give you an error that Visual Studio can't read it, or, you know, and there's all kinds of things. Like, it's not going to build. We have conditions in there that are only meant for the template. So let me see here. Let's open this. So like you see, I mean, technically these are XML comments, so they should theoretically be ignored. That shouldn't be a huge issue for you. But if you change any of those lines, I'm going to reject your PR instantly. Basically what needs to be changed, it's going to be these two lines right here. So basically, instead of 16.299, you need to like update these. What I would tend to say here is this should be whatever the current like latest version is, and then obviously this is a minimum version, so that should be that what is it, 17.763. So it's just changing those two lines is all you want to do. And the easiest way to do it, honestly, is open up Visual Studio Code, open the file in Visual Studio Code, and then make the changes manually. Do not do this in the IDE. So like anytime I'm working on templates, like I'll put together a project. So I was showing that little shiny example, you know, a little bit ago. And for that, I'll certainly do stuff where I bring in, you know, I set everything up. I make sure it runs and do all that kind of stuff. But then once I'm done with that phase of it and I actually start to templatize it, I guess, that's where some things start to change and it no longer becomes buildable in the IDE. So like you'll notice here, like this doesn't look like anything. If you like, you would probably dismiss this as you go through it. But this condition here, like this is going to evaluate to false every single time. And it'll evaluate to false because this is meant for the .NET template engine to evaluate, not for Visual Studio. So that the template engine is going to have this parameter, and then based on that parameter, it will either include or exclude that entire line. So if the container is basically neither dry IOC or Unity, you're just not even going to get a Prism reference, honestly. So we're expecting it to be one or the other. So that's kind of what you get there. And that's kind of throughout, and that's why it won't build correctly, and you'll get all kinds of errors. I think it might have been John that brought that issue to my attention. So yeah, anyway, so those are the issues. It's all pretty easy stuff. Like I said, the splash screen, you can basically copy what we have in the samples and kind of bring that over. There's one thing I forgot to clean up. I took it literally because it's one of those things. I've done splash screens for years, right? But I don't really do it every time, so I just like go copy it from a post somewhere. And the post that had this stupid like tag thing that you don't need. Like it does nothing productive. It's literally just like, hey, see, we actually did this. So yeah, that actually could be removed. If anybody wants to go and remove it from all the samples, go for it, have at it. I will merge that PR because there's no actual reason for it. You can get rid of the on create because we don't care. The only thing we actually care about is like this right here. Like it's this on resume to start the activity and launch main activity. That's literally the only thing that needs to be in the splash activity. There are some little things that you need that goes with it. Where is it? So you have like this splash screen here that you need. You need some sort of drawable that will be in there. So like you notice like here, we've got the Prism Library. So, and literally what I would do if I was you is I would take those drawables from the samples with the Prism Library, because that would make me the happiest, is because I'm all about branding on this, is when you start that app up, it should be Prism Library branded, buddy. So literally just copy all of the drawable folders out of here. Don't need to copy that. And then in styles, you think that tag is in your splash screens also? Yeah. Literally, like, it's not needed. It was in some resource. Like, it's one of those things, like, I remember how to do it, but I don't remember because I am in that, like, I'm doing that task and actually creating native Android activities so rarely with Xamarin Forms, like, I have to go and remember how to do it, and yeah. Anyway. So basically, all you want to do is you want to copy this theme right here. and then add the splash screen, pull the drawables. You do need to also, by the way, and this is like where it really helps to be able to see, you know, the actual CS project. So like come in here, and as you're going through, you'll find eventually here some of these different things. So you, like when you add the splash activity, remember you can't open that in Visual Studio. So like you have to do this all from the file system. So like you can create it somewhere else and then drop it in. But be sure to go into the CS proj, add the compile for the splash activity, and then basically add all of the resources. So like you see we have like the drawable icon. Where is it? Okay, I'm not actually sure where it is. Why am I not seeing it? I'm blind. That's why I wear glasses. Haha. Somewhere there should be an Android asset for the launch screen. Oh, here it is. It's like way down here. That's weird. Anyway, so that bugs me actually. I might fix that just because it irritates me. But make sure that this is in there, and then these resources are in there, and then you're pretty much good. You can copy and paste most of it. It's like basically you can copy paste all of it, just change a namespace in the class, you're done. So yeah, anyway, so let's take a look. What else do we have here? Where were we at? We're getting close. We're like under 20 files from being marked. Like once I've been able to mark these 20 files as, or 19 files as viewed, then we're pretty much there. I think this is fine. I don't have a problem with this file actually. Test base. Yeah. Okay. Getting so much closer. Okay. What do we have here? This is perfect. So this was a minor change that I had asked Jerome to make. Now he did this on the module. I don't remember leaving a comment on the module. Maybe I did. So this is just a compatibility issue for when you're building this off of Windows. It kind of freaks out. So it'll freak out and go like, I don't understand what this target is, and so that's why you kind of put the target frameworks and then you say, hey, if I'm on Windows, add UWP. I love it. You know, I've got the my Android phone, which I only ever use for development, by the way. So I don't even know how people get this number. I get calls on it all the time. And so like I'll do like a screen call. And so far, people don't say anything. I'm like, whatever. I'll let Jerome get away with this, but I am like very anti this right here. I always remove that shit. Always. Because you're duplicating things that are already done automatically. And it's a really good way to screw things up, that way you have problems. Yep, that's a pretty low impact thing there. Perfect. I'm good with that. Good here. I don't have an issue with that. So close. Alright. So So Uno, okay. Let's see. Okay, so he moved this over to Uno, which I'm good with, because we had, Brian and I were looking at this yesterday, and this was actually in the WPF folder, and Brian and I were like, why in the hell is this here? Because, and there were like a number of issues. So like dependency object on WPF has a check access extension. And so like what Jerome had here initially was, it was like basically if WASM do this, else if WinUI do this, and then else, which would have been WPF, like instance.check access. I'm like, I'm legitimately confused as to why that would even be there. Like this, like none of that seems to need to be there for WPF at all. And that seems like it would be recursive and want to try to take it back into your extension method. But this is good. So this is now in Uno, so he should be good there. We're good here. Okay. Prism application base. I think he might have refactored this to like something that's really awesome, by the way. Or maybe he didn't. Oh, no, he did. Okay, so register required types. Register default behaviors, yep. Beautiful. I'm not seeing that change. So my only issue with this is still this line. Like, so yesterday, this is one of the things that Brian added when he did the new Bootstrapper. He realized, holy crap, we're duplicating a lot of code between Prism application and the Prism Bootstrapper, which is kind of understandable because what he did was copy and paste the Prism application into the new Prism Bootstrapper. And yeah, and then change like a couple things that he had to. But so he created like these extension methods or static route. I don't remember what it was. I approved it and merged it. Whatever. I slept since then. But yeah, so I think it was just region behaviors. He just like extension methods. But I'm not sure why we're not using the extension. The extension. The others. Okay. I'm just going to add a comment on that. I'm not going to do a full review. I mean, we are reviewing it, but dialog window, beautiful. We finally did get that added. Part of me that says this could probably just be an abstract class. Oh, Brian, you see a problem in the XAML? Oh, that he is setting the title height and width? Yeah. Well, I mean, keep in mind that this is the base class, so anything that... I mean, these are just default values from a base class. You can still override this. Now, that said, that should be a binding. Yeah, but you should be setting the binding in whatever class that you inherit dialog window from, right? Like, so if I have Dan's dialog that inherits from dialog window, I should still be able to bind to that property, and it's not going to matter that there's a default value from a base class because that should override it. What do you mean it's not how that works? You don't derive from... Yeah, but I can register my own dialog window. But I see what you're saying, though. Like, just don't provide those values at all. Look at WPF. Okay. So let's go look at WPF real quick. Too many open windows. This is how it starts. Alright, let's go take a look. What's Brian talking about here? Services, dialogues, dialog window. Alright. So basically you want it to look like this, where you have a binding to a title already. Okay. Okay. That's fine. Here, I'm just gonna say, just gonna copy to that. The WPF implementation for the dialog window shouldn't hard code the title height width. Also, the dialog window would be the default type if not specified, right? Okay. I don't see an issue with the code behind. I think that should be fine. iDialog window. Yeah. Okay. Dependency object extensions. Has binding. Okay, sure. let's take a look here. What do we have? Visualization extensions. So I just want to check some of these here. Nope. I mean, technically, if something changed, we should see it. Yeah, that makes sense. All namespace changes there. Yep. Okay. I like that. That's actually a lot cleaner, I think. It's just to have, because before we were doing like this crazy get the binding, is it null or not, you know, to get our pool. This I think is a lot more descriptive of what we're doing, right? Like, okay, does it have a binding, yes or no? And then we kind of put that behind our little extension method here. Let's see, where was it? Up here. So we're still doing that binding operation is get binding, but you know, I like this better. I think that's good. Brian, I hope you agree. But I'm going to say that that's okay. Again, yeah, because this was like the #1 thing that I saw. Yep. Cool. So we're down to like 5 files I have not marked as okay. Well, this one actually I'm gonna do that. So we're down to 4 files. So what do we have here? So we want the changes to dialog window. I think really it's only this one change to configure region adapter mappings. Brian, wait. What am I waiting for, Brian? Tell me what you got going on, man. Initialize modules. Let me guess, you want to check whether or not we have any modules before we do run. Do we do that on WPF, by the way? Who cares? Oh, crap. I forgot I don't have that extension on here. Use the new shared static method. Okay. Let me just see here. Module. What was it? Configure. Initialize. Here. There. Go to the next one. Alright, here we go. Done. To use the new extension. Add that. This I think is fine because this is more WinUI. Good there. This is fine. I don't think that needs to be an extension method. If you made that an extension method, I would question you, Brian. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see here. I feel like this should come from the base constructor, though. It's my all right, yeah. So, I mean, here's kind of my concern, right? So, initialize internal gets called in onLaunched, which calls initialize, which sets up our suspending, right? Okay. With this being called from the on launched, can on launched be called more than once during the app's lifetime, i.e. as backgrounded momentarily and then restored. This would basically, like, it would I'm just trying to think this through here, but we'd be wiring this up multiple times. Seems this would be better in the Prism application base CTOR. Not actor, I actually meant CTOR. Frickin' auto incorrect, man. Well, might. Hello, Mortalbox. Good to have you join us, my friend. Let's see. Okay, so we have that. We're down to like 4 files here. Let's go take a look at a couple of the ones up here, though, which were kind of my do we need this kind of thing. So we have this custom content dialog. So yeah, so he was overriding it here. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of the whole thing here is I'm fine with having at least one of these. And this is kind of what I thought was like, hey, you would get this, but I get Brian's point on why you would want to have like the binding set in the base class, and then it's just kind of magically wires up. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to provide an instance. So I'm going to pick on this guy here, because I think this is the now, I could be totally wrong. Brian, jump in here. But I would think here, right, that this should just be a view, like whatever kind of view that gets injected into, yeah, like the dialog service should be injecting a view into the dialog window, not resolving a dialog window, right? Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, let me, hold on. Oh no, hold on. The confirmation dialog is just a content control. It does not implement. Okay, so we are actually okay there. We're okay there. I'm just gonna. Yeah, these are in the end-to-end sample. Yeah, it's backseat coding. It's all good though. So we really should be using the dialog window automatically from the dialog service. It's what should be used when a dialog window is not specified. Dialog should be any acceptable view type and then added as the child of the dialog window. Okay, so we're going to add a single comment there. So I'm going to say it's looking great because it is. We're a couple changes from what should allow us to merge this. Some updates on Prism application base to use the new extensions and refactor some things some things around the dialog service. Well, yeah, I don't need an explanation there. Cool. So that is looking really, really good. Yeah, the content controller, user control. But this is, I'm honestly, I'm pretty happy with this. I really am. I know it may not seem that way. This is a really large PR, though. We are bringing in an entirely new platform, so of course you're going to have to expect at least some back and forth, and I mean, we want to vet this, right? Like, we want to make sure that this is something that is done correctly for the community, and the community is going to be able to really enjoy getting to use and be able to understand. So don't want to just merge things willy-nilly. Now there are a couple of issues here, and we'll kind of talk through one. So I actually I haven't talked to Brian about this specifically, but I see he's in chat, so I'll kind of bring this up. So this is kind of a concept that kind of comes from the Prism container extensions. And so what you will notice here is I have this container resolution exception here. And basically what I do in the Prism container extensions right now is if we fail to resolve a type, like basically we catch the exception from the container, whatever that, whether it's dry IOC or Unity, whatever, and then we we kind of rethrow it as this new container resolution exception. We take the exception from the container, we pass it in as the inner exception. But really the idea here is we want to pass in what the service type was and potentially what the service name was. And that way, when you're catching this exception, first of all, you now have a unified exception that you can look for regardless of your container, which I like. But more specifically is I can focus on, hey, I have this service type, like, you know, I don't know, like maybe this occurred while I was navigating, right? And so was it my view that threw the exception, or was it the view model that threw the exception? And that really is kind of important to know what is going on there. So it makes it a lot easier to find. The other kind of issue here is, and I kind of added this as a potential enhancement, it's something I don't currently do in the container extension, but I think would be really fantastic, is to kind of, if we do run into this situation where we're about to throw a container resolution exception, why don't we spend the little bit of extra time? Yes, are you going to get a perf hit on this? Of course you're going to get a perf hit, because what I'm going to talk about is reflection. But if we can take this hit for you while you're developing, first of all, you're not going to care. And the second thing is, why not look at the constructor and say, hey, here's what your missing service is. It would really speed up that dev loop. I think this would be really, really helpful. I can tell you that having that, you know, like, because I use the container extensions in my own projects, having that has been really helpful, and it's cut down. No reflection. Okay. I'm okay without that. I don't currently do that, but I do like the container resolution exception. I think having a nice unified exception is easier, and being able to see the type that actually threw the exception is even better. So Brian, let me know what you think about that, because that would be a very, very easy add, especially since I have another issue that we're already kind of modifying the containers a little bit here. So, which kind of brings me to this. Let me bring this back up so it makes it easier for people to read. I have to kind of bounce around because, like, at the end of the night, like after I have dinner and stuff, I'll grab the laptop, and then while I'm sitting there watching Netflix, I just work on the laptop. But I cannot work at 150% on the laptop screen. It's not workable. On my high resolution 27-inch monitor, not a big deal. On laptop screen, there's just no real estate left on the screen. Anyway, so there were a couple of changes here that I've made. So you see here, we've added some support for scoping, so you can actually create a scope. You know, creates a new scope. Yeah. Hold on. Would I be adding code to the app class? Death Knight, I'm not sure what you're talking about as far as to the app class. We're not talking about adding anything to the app class. So yeah, so we added this kind of create scope for the container, and then for the container registry, see there's actually a bunch of new things that we added. So I finally talked Brian into some things here yesterday. So first of all is this ability to create, you know, a type, either a transient or a singleton, from a factory method. So you could just have basically a function that returns an object, or you could have a function that we pass in the you know, you pass in the container provider, and then maybe you resolve some stuff and then construct the instance from there, and then you have like this register many singleton kind of thing. So in this like register many, what this is basically you have a concrete type here, and then you're passing like, here are the different interfaces we want you to, or the different types we want you to use this implementation for the singleton. Death Knight says, for the container exception, am I adding anything to the app class? So no, we wouldn't add anything to the app class. Basically, what we're talking about, where is it? it would be in here. So right now, you see we do our whole container resolve. So basically what we're talking about, this is what I do on the container extensions right now. And so I'd like to bring this into Prism. So basically what happens is right here we have all of our context, right? So I'm just going to kind of wire this up real quick. So we'll say public class container resolution exception. Okay. And so we'll say public okay, type, and then exception, inner exception. And say public type. Oops. I can type, really I can. Okay, so we'll do that, and then probably do this, right? So basically we're going to say failed to resolve an instance of type dot full name, and then pass in the inner exception. Yeah, Brian has infected me with typo bugs, that is for sure. So basically what we do is, because right here, when we're in this resolve method, we know exactly what the type was that was trying to be resolved, right? And so here's where we throw new container resolution exception, and then we say here was the type, and then our inner exception. And like I said, so the entire point of this is to try to more easily surface the what the type was that actually had the problem. And this has helped me to be able to identify, is the problem coming from the view, or is it coming from the view model, right? Because if it's coming from the view, then I know I need to go and I need to take a look at my XAML, because I probably did something stupid. And it happens a lot. But so, you know, then I know like something happened. I probably have some static resource that wasn't actually available or whatever, right? Or I have a problem where I screwed something up with reactive UI and it threw an initialization exception in the you know, constructor of my view model, or I didn't register something that I thought I did, and so it kind of gives me somewhere that I can you know, I can actually check this, right? So it makes it much easier to locate. And that's why I like the container resolution exception. So Brian said no on the reflection, but he hasn't said no to the container resolution exception. He hasn't said yes either, but he hasn't said no. He's just gotten quiet. I feel like he might be mulling this over. I think it is a good ad, though. I really do. It's a very helpful thing to be able to go, well, where did that error come from? It was very ambiguous. See? I'm not the only one that thinks so. Okay, so you like the container resolution exception. We're good with this? Okay. Yeah. Hey, I'm not perfect, man. I am far from perfect, believe me. So let me go copy the code. It really is. It really is. I believe it is anyway. So we're going to say, we're going to add a container resolution exception here. Okay, cool. I'll have to come back and add some XML docs in here because we're kind of on that kick lately, aren't we? Alright, so I'll need to come over here. We'll get rid of that. Oh, actually, Death Knight, that's a great... am I going to add some test cases for the exception? Yes, actually I'm going to be adding a lot of test cases, period. Not just around that exception, but around all of our like basically everything on the container extensions. I think I have a better question is, never mind how did the meeting go? I'm more curious, how did it go with your boss there, Brian? Like, how upset was your boss that you were playing around on Twitch rather than being in a meeting? Xamarin forums say testing is bad. Well, you know, the number of issues that the Xamarin team... Your boss thought he forgot to invite you? That's awesome. The number of the bugs that the Xamarin team has should kind of tell you everything you need to know. But I digress. Anyway, let's see here. Well, one of the other things I actually changed too, and this also came from the container extensions. The container extensions has really been a great project for me to be able to kind of proof of concept some stuff before we bring it into Prism. But you know, I realized very, very quickly that I was being an idiot because we were duplicating the actual resolution code here and here. So I just like changed this to call the other methods now that take these parameters. It's so much easier now. Technically, I could probably just pass null, but I think there were some problems I ran into. I can't remember now. Anyway, so let's go ahead and change that here. Move this up here. And so this actually gets everybody a lot closer, I should say, to being able to use things like iService collection. We're not there yet because I haven't convinced Brian on taking the dependency. I know he is adamantly against it. So we're not quite there yet, but it does make it a lot easier. So kind of what I've done, there's a let me kind of scroll down here. Basically the issue is if you want to use certain things, like let's say you want to use iHTTP client factory, which you certainly hear a lot of buzz around because people use HTTP client wrong all the time. They either don't dispose it at all, or they don't dispose it when they should, or whatever, right? Well, okay. You know, so there's this iService scope factory that HTTP client actually depends on. Like it has to be there. And without the dependency on the abstractions package, I can't actually implement that. But really what that's looking for is when you create a scope is to get this service provider. And so I've kind of made this protected. So that way, if you want to, you have the ability to kind of say, what is it, like, I think it's like iService scope and iService scope factory.create scope, right? And then you could kind of create your own like new service scope. And then you could say like create scope internal, and basically like that would be the snippet you need to add, and all you would have to do is just inherit from the dry IOC container, add this one little method, register itself as the iService scope factory, and you're done. So easy enough to add support for on your own if you want to. But yeah, so we have scoping now, and then this is also going to actually make it easier where you know, we can kind of do a very simple extensions package that will let you do some service, like iService collection stuff too. So I'm just going to do this here. I'm going to start, oh no, I actually did this in, I did it over here, I think, right? Yeah, I did. So I just need to do it on these guys. We'll add the XML docs. Okay, so I'm going to do a lot of copy and paste, because that is what all great programmers do, by the way, is they copy and paste. I don't care what your boss tells you. They tell you anything else, they're lying. They are lying, I tell you. Alright, okay, copy that, that's good there. Good. Good, okay, and then delegate method. Brian's probably going to go, he hates the name, but whatever. Brian hates everything. He's a hater, man. See, what was it? The service types. We'll go right there, and then all right. All right, registers the same. It's in. So I'm going to say I just dragged you. Go over there. Okay. The given service type and factory delegate. Well, nothing. Okay. I'll copy that for right here. And then where was the so we're gonna copy that. We're just gonna change that to singleton though. Okay. Perfect. I think that should be all the docs I need in there. Yes, so definitely asked one question. I noticed some of the projects are named Prism Core, but the namespaces don't always match. Is that something you plan to change? No. So basically pretty much the first thing we typically do is change the root namespace in any of the projects to just Prism. So it doesn't matter what it is. And, you know, then like when we have a container, it's like Prism dot whatever that container is. That would be really fun, by the way. It sucked when I tried adding it for the container extensions, but complete disaster for the what do you call it? I'm like totally brain farting now. Happens a lot. But you know, it was the Microsoft dependency injection extensions package. Yeah, it's like, what the heck do you call that? Like, it's got so many little names to it. All right, who's pinging me? Oh, let's see. Oh, it's Jerome. Thanks for the comments. One thing don't understand is okay. Show you there. Let me just kind of see if we can get Jerome to join us here. He's pinging me about, he had a question on the dialogue. Yeah, we'll see what he says if he's going to join us here. In any case, yes, we have our docs there. You see I have some broken tests. So one of the things I did, I added a dependency on our tests for the mock library, which we already have for WPF. But interestingly, Brian never added for core or forms, which I am more and more a fan. Like, as I had to go and fix the tests for WPF, I'm like, Jesus Christ, why were we not using this before? Like, it's so much better. So I started deleting mocks, basically. Like, we have this page navigation container mock, and it's like, it's a huge mess, right? And then I had to, of course, go and implement more methods on here. I'm like, why? Like, I can just mock this out. So that's pretty much what I'm doing now. Let's see here. I mean, one thing that might actually be interesting. I don't know if I can. I probably can. Let me try to just rewrite this. Public page navigation container mock mock I navigation or I container extension. I haven't actually tried to do this before, but I would imagine it should work. So if I do a constructor here, public page navigation container mock, okay. I should be able to do a setup, right? Setup, yep, I should, there we go. So we're gonna say setup x dot register. What? Okay. So he's joining. Okay, so register, and then we're going to say it is any type, and then we're going to say this return, oops, no, come on. Oh, I guess I didn't, there we go. Then this returns to the object. Hello, Jerome. It is good to see you, my friend. All right, so you had a question. We were doing a review on your PR. Can I go back here? Where are we at? So yeah, so there were some little things like Brian pointed out, like, hey, the initialize modules really needs this kind of right here. And then there was another one, I think it was the adapter mappings. We had talked about it. You actually said you were going to update it to this, but it was still the old code. So we just want to kind of update that to this extension method that Brian added. Things are moving very quickly, so I apologize that we're kind of all over the place on some of the stuff. But you've kind of forced us to like make things better. But yeah, so those were a couple of things. Let's see what else here. But your question was on the dialogues. So basically, you know, what we saw was like you have like your, like one of the things is you're not actually inheriting from dialog window, you're implementing iDialog window yourself. Which, I mean, fine, we can certainly have a sample that does that, or like, there's no actual reason though. What do you mean there's no dialog window available there? Like, you added it, we saw it, like it's there, right? Yes, dialog window. Like, you added this window here, so you should be able to inherit, instead of from content dialog, you should be able to now inherit from dialog window as your base type. Unless I'm completely missing something here. Like, that's kind of the intent. Like, you should not have to implement iDialog window explicitly. Yes, in the end-to-end app. Yes. So this is in the end-to-end app. So we, like, there's no real reason to implement this outside of dialog window. Dialog window should implement iDialog window, and then unless you're trying to use something other than content dialog, which is what you actually implemented it on, I believe, there wouldn't really be a reason to do that. But the other thing is, like, you shouldn't have to always pass in what the window is, right? Like, if you don't provide a window for your dialog, right? Like, you could have, I think, actually confirmation dialog, let me see. Yeah, confirmation dialog just inherits from content control. So like, if you're saying, hey, show dialog confirmation dialog, it should by default put it in the dialog window that is built into Prism. Like, that is the default window that we create, right? The other thing that Brian kind of pointed out here, let me go actually to dialog window. So there were some things here where, like, you're hard coding this to dialog, and then you're hard coding the height and width. So yeah. Oh, but you already commented on that, so you got it. What change would you make? So you shouldn't need to necessarily register like dialog window itself. Like, Prism should be smart enough to know, like, if we don't have a dialog window specified, just kind of resolve dialog window, right? Like, if there's no type there. Okay. Hold on. Yes, he does what? You must register the window? Really? Okay. Oh. Well, fine then, Brian. I guess I'm wrong. I wouldn't have done it that way. I would have just known, like, hey, like, if we didn't provide you anything, like, if the key is empty, just resolve, you know, whatever. But, okay, fine. So I guess you wanted to do it where if somebody registers their own dialog window, then it's going to override the Prism one. That makes sense, too. I can see your argument for that. It's a very valid point. What do you want from me, man? I've only had 1 cup of coffee. And most of a bottle of water. It's a valid point, though. Whatever. I'm not perfect, man. I'm shooting from the cuff. But you are right. I mean, you're fair to ask questions, because, like, maybe I didn't think of something that you did. That's why it's a conversation. Just keep that in mind, always, always. But yeah. So... okay. Anyway. Perfect does not work in code reviews. No, it never does. You know, just because I have an opinion doesn't mean that I have an ego that, you know, I have to always be right, you know. It's just sometimes it's just what I see. It's my initial knee-jerk reaction, and sometimes you just gotta go, hey, but what about this? And I'm like, oh yeah, no, you got a point. So that's how code reviews should work, in my opinion. Gotta have friendly conversations. But yeah, no, this is all good. So yeah, and actually, yeah, you're right, because this is brought in by required types. So, see, Brian, so smart. So smart. The title should be bound to the underlying dialogue-aware title, yeah. By default, content dialogue adjusts to its children's size, yeah. So yeah. But I think the only real issues that we had were, yeah, just pretty much around the extensions here and then dialogue. Other than that, I mean, you can see I've checked off 143 of 147 files. So we're doing pretty good, man. Only a couple files to go, and then I'm good for it. And I would say that I'll probably have caught most of what Brian, I mean, the things that Brian would catch that I didn't necessarily catch, he's pretty much catching as we're on stream here. So group effort, man. Love it. Love it. You know, and the funny thing, by the way, I got a good laugh out of this. I know Brian got a great laugh out of this yesterday. So yeah, Jerome is saying that this is a massive, kind of thing here, right? We have like 5,600 lines of code to bring in support for an entire new platform. And it really, like, when you're talking about Uno platform, like, it's not really one platform. Like, it is, but it isn't, right? Like, we're actually adding support for an application framework to build with WinUI on, obviously, Windows, but also on iOS, on Android, on WebAssembly, and soon we'll have Mac in there as well. So, I mean, that's huge, right? Like, there's a lot there. Most of this code actually comes from the end-to-end app, and there might actually be more code in the build configurations for CI than there are in actually Prism Uno, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, so you're talking 5,600 lines of code here. And then let's go take a look at this other PR. So there's this draft PR I added yesterday for regions in Xamarin Forms. And this is 6,100 lines of code, and it's not done. And this is just a single feature for Xamarin Forms. And of course, why is this? Well, it's because we had to actually pull in the raw source code and make modifications for Xamarin Forms, whereas Jerome was able to pretty much use WPF and just make a few code changes here and there. Like, we're going to use this namespace instead, you know? I love it. It's great. Anyway, so yeah, that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. This is going to be a pain, a complete pain to go through, but we'll have some fun with it. But this will actually be easier for me to implement some things in here. Like right now, it does not support injecting the iNavigation service into your region view model. So, yeah, that kind of sucks. But we're going to kind of be able to handle some of that shortly, so that'll be good. Anywho, let's see here. Oh, and I don't think we're not injecting the region navigation. We're also not injecting the navigation service. So like both of those will have to be, like, those are both known issues right now. But this new container stuff I'm working on should help that with some of the scoping. Anyway, so we're going to kind of do this kind of setup here. So we're going to say setup, and then x.register. It, whoops, is any type. It is any type. Cool. And then it returns object. So this should help quite a bit with our testing here. It is any type. Oop, I cannot type. See, I like caught this, I think, from Brian. The inability to type is any string. Right, okay. Returns object. Nope, wrong object. Cool. And then we have a lot that I need to do here. Where was the lock application? Crap. What was the test? I'm trying to remember what test it was that I made changes to here. Yeah, so let me just kind of add that because we got rid of that entirely. Yeah, that's fine. Good there. What did we do here? Oh, where is that? Form dialog container extension. What? Right here. So I think we got rid of this, right? So that should be good. Trying to get rid of some of these files here. Simplify things. Add that. So Jerome is adding templates for Uno in the Prism templates repo. We'll send a PR later. Yeah, Brian, I mean, I'm just trying to think, is that something that we want to put in the Prism template pack, or is that something that, because I kind of feel that would be better for the Uno template extension, is to have those templates available there, so that way, you know, when people are installing Uno, they kind of get that experience. But you know, that's something we can definitely have a conversation about. Let's see here. Can work both ways, yeah. It's going to be the same template, yeah. I mean, I have always felt like, you know, and I've had this conversation with Brian in the past, where Brian has been very adamant that you cannot build an app with WPF without modules. Now, I am certainly, like, as time has gone on, even though a lot of people don't do this in Xamarin Forms, I am more and more a fan of modularly designed apps in Xamarin Forms as well. It just makes it a lot easier to work on functionality and to keep people out of each other's hair, because you're like, modular apps forces you to build loosely coupled code. I mean, it just does by nature. So I've always been a fan, like, why are we providing a template that doesn't have a that doesn't have a module? Like, it should basically, in my opinion, it should have a template. Like, our template should have a module. Like, out of the box, you get a module. Like, you can rename it, you can do whatever the heck you want with it, but you should just kind of understand, when you create a new Prism application, we want you building modules, because that's how you're going to build loosely coupled code. Just my opinion. I haven't convinced Brian yet. I don't understand how he can say on one hand it's it's something that like you have to do, but then somehow we're not going to put it in the template. That just seems silly to me. But I digress. Oh well. So let's see. Actually, I forgot what that file was called now. I think it was like page navigation service or something. It was about to develop. Yeah. I still, like, you don't have to go crazy, but I just think you should at least have, like, your view A or whatever the heck your first page is, or first view, like, that should just, like, put it in a module, show people, like, use a module. Just my opinion. Okay, so we're gonna pull this crap out here. Okay. And we are gonna go here. All right, move that in here. So basically what we want to do is we want to say setup well, you know, Brian, I'm just saying, you could make the experience just a little smarter and give them the ability to add a custom name to it. I mean, if you're doing it in Visual Studio anyway, why not? Just saying. Anyway, so we're going to say resolve and type of object and page mock. That's going to return a new page mock. Okay, boom. Start resolve, type of object. Actually, I don't want to have to do as much typing here, so I'm just going to copy this a whole bunch. Depends on the point of the template. If it's for learning, then adding a module makes sense. If it's okay, yeah. I feel like at least providing it as an option would not be a terrible call, but what do I know? New, oops, content page mock, content page mock 1. Okay. Get rid of those. Get rid of those. Okay. Cut that. Okay. Got that. Oops. What on earth happened there? There we go. Okay. So now we have that. And go there. Wonder if you could make it a choice. Yes, you can make it a choice. It'd be very, very easy, Death Knight, to do that. Brian would probably push back that he likes the simplicity of his template wizard. Like, there's basically no real options there. It's basically what is the container you want, and that is the only option you get. Which, look, I'm not gonna lie, there's something to be said for that. Okay, reused. And what? Oh, I must have hit copy instead of cut. Yeah. With stack. Okay. So let's get rid of those. See, I like a template that really helps me get off the ground running as fast as possible. Like, the less I have to do after I go file new project, the happier I am. You know, there are just so many basic things that can be put into a template that save you a ton of time after you go file a new project. Like, I want to go from file new project to this thing is ready to, like, ship. Like, even if it's just in QA, you know, maybe it's just a proof of concept or whatever, but, like, I want this thing building in CI, I want this thing integrated, I want authentication, all that as fast as humanly possible. John, good to have you here. Thank you for joining this morning, and have a great day, my friend. You know, when this lockdown is over, we're gonna have to go grab some beers, buddy. Like, I am so over this lockdown. I really am. Like, I'm not that social, for crying out loud, but I just want to go out and have a burger and a beer and not have to cook it myself. Like, that's it, yeah. And if people want to say I want to see people dead for that, then they're just stupid fear mongers, and I'm freaking over it. You know, let people make their own choices, for crying out loud. That is what a free society is all about. All right. So tab 2. Thank you, Brian, for thoroughly vetting that we can have a different name than the type. Good grief. All right. So have the templates been updated so we don't have to update the app XAML and shell window instead of main window? Death Knight, what do you mean by that, by the way? Because I don't think I've seen an issue on that for WPF. Okay. I have to use the app. I don't know. That's a good question. Let's go take a look. I don't know what we have to do. I basically never go into the app here, so let's take a look. So the blank core app uses Prism application here, right? So yeah, and this is something, you know, Brian, I guess, is on the same page I am on this. Like, I find it stupid to declare the base class in your code behind. You've already done it in XAML. Oh no, this is, sorry, blank app is the one I want. Yeah, so this does it here too. So blank app for both .NET Core and full framework are both using Prism application here. We don't ship a bootstrapper version at all. You also need to not declare it in code because of the conditionals. What conditionals are you talking about? Dry IOC versus Unity? For a template, it doesn't really matter as much because we can put conditional statements in there that bring those namespaces in and out. That's what I had to do for a long time. In fact, I did it in XAML for a long time. You're going to have to do it for Dry IOC versus Unity for Uno because WinUI doesn't support XMLNS definition, which is a royal pain in the rear. Like, let me just see here. I'll bring up a window. I gotta dot. I still have the old templates saved here. Template pack. Templates. So I think, yeah. So basically, I know this is a little smaller. I'll try to make it a little bigger. Can we collapse anything? So, but basically, like, this is all you really have to do, and this is what, like, this is the actual old template. So I had some conditions in XAML, which, by the way, this is not valid in any shape, way, or form, but it does work for the template engine, where it's able to go, oh, okay, this is a condition here. And so we were checking, like, hey, if this is autofact, if it's dry IOC, otherwise, you know, do whatever. And this is how we actually set the Prism namespace in our templates here. So that way you got the namespace for dry IOC versus Unity, since they are in different namespaces. Jerome, I don't know what's going on with WinUI. Like, maybe you could share with us, like, how can we get that missing feature in, man? Like, who do we need to harass or buy beer or whatever? Like, such a pain. Such a pain. Anyway, so let's see here. We're going to go ahead and say dot object. Oops. Are they actually open sourcing it? You know, I was gonna jump on that call with you, the PGI, was it 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever the heck it was. But then I, for whatever reason, dismissed the calendar invite by accident and forgot about it. Oh well, it is what it is. Alright, let's see what else I've broken here. I'm breaking all kinds of things because I just want to have, like, a very easy to use mock that is wired up and I don't have to test as much code. Let's see. I am sure I have broken so many tests right now. All right, so let's kind of change that object. Okay, and then dialog container extension. Page navigation container mock. How about that? Then we'll do a dot object. Let's see here. So we have a fake container. But the beauty of this is I can inspect what actually got invoked and validate that certain things got invoked. God, it's taking so long to build. Good God. All right, come on. Rebuild all successful. All right. Now how many tests did I break? Oh, and actually, you know, I should ask, I know we have the end-to-end app. Do we have tests coming, hopefully? I really hope we do have tests coming for Uno. Hopefully. You know, I did move a lot of the platform specific, or the container specific tests. I did move those into a shared project. Hopefully we can reuse a lot of that for Uno. That would be great, since so much of the code base is shared anyway. All right. So I only broke 108 tests, so that shouldn't take much time. All right. Can we please navigate to this test? The heck? All right. Things buzzing on my desk like, okay. Okay, here we go. So, where did we unsupported expression. Okay. The runner needs to be inside the app, so it's all custom. What about you can't, well, I guess if you're doing net core app, it would default to WebAssembly, huh, for Uno. Like you couldn't just take the net standard compile of it and run your unit tests on stuff, huh? Okay. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to figure something out. Oops, I don't want peak definition. I want to go to this. So I don't really like this implementation. now that I spent the time to create it, right? Mock equals new mock I container. Let's change this to what it really should have been anyway. So then we're going to say, get rid of that. That way I get all the little red squigglies and stuff. Mock dot and well, here, let me, for crying out loud, all right, here, object mock dot object, and we're going to say the current document. Okay. Then we're going to say setup. Let's put a space before it since I already changed the one. Then we'll say mock.setup. Cool. That fixed it rather quick. Haha. Oh, is that an extension? Oh, crap. Okay. Never mind. That's why it was upset. Oh, I should probably do this, by the way. So we're going to say register singleton. Register singleton. Okay, so then public static. Let's make this a I'm just going to rename this. Rename container mock. It's a static mock I container extension. And we're going to say create mock. Static. Okay. And of course it's upset because I'm not returning the mock yet. Return mock. Okay. So that's good, and then it's going to get upset at me in a whole bunch of places and whatever. Okay. Var mock equals container mock dot create mock. Or here, we'll just call this container or container mock, whatever. Okay. And then do the same thing here. Var container mock equals create mock. Okay. Cool. Go ahead and build this here. Get this eventually here. Cannot create, well, obviously. Nope, not reference equals. We want create mock. There we go. Okay. So now I think this will build. I'd much rather the static factory method approach. So this kind of will let us pretend we have a container. Of course, there are going to be some things that probably missed, but we'll deal with that. See here. Okay, so rebuild all succeeded. So let's run these. Hopefully I fixed some of these tests here, mainly because I think they were all blowing up anywhere I had the mock container, just because I had an extension method wired up, which mock does not like at all. So far, that's a lot more manageable to deal with. I'd much rather fix 20 tests than 100. That is for sure. Wow, that's taking a long time to complete here. Let's go take a look at what failed. So basically everything in here failed. That's cool, man. It's cool. Let's see here. Create dialog service. Let's go here. Mock application. Okay, so I might actually want to make a change here. So we're going to say public mock iContainer extension mock container get. So we're going to change this around a little bit here, and then we're going to say mock container dot object. So there are probably some things that we want to do. So like what we'll do here is we'll say we want the mock container dot, we're going to do some setup in here. It says x dot resolve object dialog mock returns a new dialog mock, and mock container, whoops, setup x dot resolve. Oh crap, I can't do that because that's an extension method. Type of object. All right, there we go. So all right, so then we're going to say type of dialog mock view model, and that's going to, where are we? Return. Returns, okay, new dialog mock view model. Okay. I don't know why that's stuck, that's weird. So this will be better though, because I mean, yeah, we've got the you know, we have our container, but we've also got our oh, actually I don't know why I'm passing that in. That's stupid. There's literally, like, as I'm looking at this, there's no reason for that method at all, because we just need to wire it up right here. Inspected an image, got a box view. Well, that's interesting. In any case, let's see here. We've been streaming. God, we've been streaming for a while. 3.5 hours. What time is it? It's like 9:30, isn't it? All right. Well, I really do appreciate everybody that's joined. We've gone for a really long time. I actually need to go take care of some stuff here. Probably continue working on this maybe later tonight or something. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a stream later. But in any case, I do hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. Do keep those PRs coming for Prism. I really do appreciate it. If you have a suggestion that you would like to see for the docs, if you have something that you would like to see in the templates or whatever, you know, I will definitely, I would definitely appreciate it. Who am I gonna raid? That is a great question, Brian. I'm not even sure who is streaming right now. Let's see who is streaming. So it looks like we have Code Rushed. He's like really the only one I know that's actually streaming right now. So why don't we raid? Yes, there we go. Raid and then Code Rushed, right? So we're gonna do copy that. So I will see you guys over there. Thank you guys for joining, and we'll catch you on the next one. See, in 5, 4, 3, 2. All right. Catch you guys later.